Hey, welcome back to a new Challenge Real Estate Academy review for you guys who are in pre-licensing classes for real estate. I hope these videos have been, are, or have been helpful. So, we're doing real estate math review again, and this time we're doing principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Remember, principal is the amount of money that you are going to, that comes directly off of the loan amount. You know what interest is the amount of money that you have to pay to borrow money. All right. Taxes we're going to talk about, that's property taxes, and insurance would be homeowners insurance. All right. So let's get into today's lesson. All right, so we're going to start with a problem, and then we're going to work through that problem. But as we work through that problem, we're going to talk about the different aspects of real estate and how this is applicable when you are doing it. Remember, we're going to be doing amortization in this. So amortization is a schedule, and it shows you exactly how much principal that you're going to pay and how much interest that you're going to pay throughout the life of the loan. The loan is 30 years. That's 360 payments. That means every time you make a payment, part of your payment goes to principal, and part of your payment goes to interest. Okay, so let's get into this. So first things, two questions we're going to ask. We're going to answer, right? What is the interest Bob will pay over the life of a loan? And number two, what is the principal and interest per month? All right, so let's look at this. So first of all, we got a $250,000 loan, but Bob is only going to get a loan for 80% of that because he plans to put 20% down. So that means Bob's going to borrow around $200,000. And how we figure that out is Bob is going to, we're going to subtract that 100% of the purchase price minus 20% of the down payment, and that's going to get us 80% of the loan. So we're going to multiply $250,000 times 0.80, and that will give us $200,000 loan amount. Now we're going to save these answers because these problems are going to repeat over and over again, okay? And we're going to break it down very simply, so I want you guys to keep this. You'll see it all the time. It'll be saved up there, okay, for you. So we've got the $200,000 loan amount, saved answer. So what is the interest Bob will pay over the life of the loan? So we got a $200,000 loan amount, and we got 5% interest. And if we did quick math, that would be, what, about $10,000, correct? So $200,000 loan amount times 5% interest is $10,000 in interest paid per year. But Bob is getting this for 30 years, okay? For 30 years. So how much is the total interest that Bob will, that Bob will have to pay? And that's going to be $300,000 in interest. But that's not the total amount he's paying. Remember, he's paying $200,000 back plus $300,000 in interest. So the total amount would be $500,000. Okay, but we're going to keep that $300,000 in interest. Okay, because we're still doing the amortization. Okay, the amortization of this. All right, so what is the interest Bob will pay? And we broke that down. We got the 10,000, we got the 300,000. Okay, so that's how you do it if you look at this. And remember, you can always, it's the good thing about this, you can always pause the video, you can always rewind the video, you can go back, you can go forward, and everything else, and this will help you. So we got $200,000, saved answers $300,000. Now we have to figure out the principal and the interest. All right, so $200,000 is the principal. $300,000 is the interest. $500,000 is the total amount that Bob will end up paying. Now, this is a 30-year amortization times 12 months. So that would be 360 months. So that would be 360 monthly payments that Bob will make over the life of this loan. $500,000, that is principal and interest added together. Remember, $200,000 loan, $300,000 in interest, $500,000 total. Divide that by 360. That's the total amount of payments. And you get $1,388.89 in monthly payments. Okay? So that's the P&I. Remember, part of that principal, part of that P, the principal part, is going to directly reduce the amount of the loan. So that $200,000 is the loan. That's going to take that off. Okay? So, what is the interest? What is the interest Bob will pay over the life of the loan? We talked about that. He's going to pay $300,000. And the monthly payment's going to be $1,388.89. Well, that's the monthly payment until you add taxes and insurance. That's the principal and interest. But you got to add taxes and insurance because that's going to be part of the exact total payment that you're going to pay over time on the loan. All right? So, we got the saved answer of $1,388.89. Now, what are the taxes and interest? Remember, that's property taxes and homeowners insurance. So, the property taxes on this, and if you look at the problem above, Bob's now going to have to pay $2,812 in property taxes per year, and his homeowner's insurance is $900 per year. So that's the property taxes, $2,812. All right, property taxes plus $900 in homeowner's insurance. That's $3,712. But that's per year. We got to figure out what the monthly payment's going to be, correct? So we have to divide that number by 12 to get $309.33. We already have the $1,388.89. That's the PI, that's the principal and interest. Now we add the taxes and insurance to that, and our new payment, our payment would be $1,698.22. Now the property taxes and insurance, they don't go to reducing the principal, okay? They don't go to that, all right? They don't go to paying the interest. They are a separate figure. So when we need to figure out how much Bob's going to reduce his principal over time, we have to figure out what the principal is going to be per month and what the interest is going to be per month. And that can be done. And so we're going to do that. And now that is called amortization. Amortization, okay? Amortization. That's what it's called. And there's a schedule set up for this. All right, so let's look using amortization or a loan factor to determine P&I. So that's the cool thing. So in your classes, you're learning about amortization, all right? The cool thing is on the test, you're not going to have to figure out the interest and then and break that down. They're going to give you a loan factor, okay? Now that is produced on, for every amortization schedule, there's a loan factor, and this loan factor we're going to use, and it's the cool thing is we're not going to break everything down. It's going to be so much easier using the loan factor, and they're going to give it to you on the test. So that is the best thing. You don't have to look anything up. The loan factor is going to be there. So this is how we use it. All right, so Sarah wants to purchase a home for $266,250. She plans to put 20% down again, so we're going to have to multiply $266,250 times 0.80 to figure out exactly what the loan amount is going to be. Her lender says that she should use the loan factor of 7.61. Her property taxes are $2,010. Divide that by 12. And her insurance is $1,013. Divide that by 12. So we're going to try to figure out what her PITI, her principal, interest, taxes, and insurance are going to be. Okay? So, on the test, when needed, you will be given the amortization factor to determine the PI per month. So, on the test, we're not going to have to try to figure it out. On the test, you're given the loan factor, so it makes it so much easier for you. Now, how to use the amortization factor. also referred to as the loan factor. So to determine that, you always take the number of 1,000 units or $1,000. You can say units, dollars, whatever. I was taught units, but the idea is determine the number, $1,000 contained in the loan. Multiply the number of 1,000 units contained in the loan by the amortization factor or the loan factor to determine the monthly P&I. So, loan amount's $213,000. Loan factor is 7.61. What is the monthly P&I? So, I take that $213,000 and I'm going to divide that by 1,000. 213 divided by 1,000. All right, that's 213 units of the 1,000. All right, so that's 213. That's all you have to remember. Divide the loan amount by 1,000, and then you're going to multiply that by 7.61. So you got, if you look, 213,000. All right, divide it by 1,000. Always divide it by 1,000. That's going to get you down to 213. So 213 units. Multiply that by 7.61, which is the loan factor that's given to you, and that gives you your monthly payment, principal and interest payment. Because you're always going to, and the question asks, you're always going to add property taxes and the homeowner's insurance to your payment to get your PITI. Okay, so we got Sarah. So we did that quick example for you to help you out. So now Sarah, $266,250. Remember, she is putting down 20%. That means that you're going to multiply 266,250 times 0.80. All right, and that's going to give you her loan amount. All right, so her loan amount is $213,000, which, go back to the last problem, $213,000. We know that she's going to divide that by 1,000 to get the number of units to multiply by her loan factor. Boom, 213 units. Take 213 units, multiply it by the loan factor itself, which is 7.61, and now you got the P&I. So that's how we did that. Okay, but we still have to add property taxes and insurance. So we're going to divide both of those by 12. Remember, you can just add those together because it doesn't matter. You can add those two numbers together and then multiply that by 12. All right? So let's do that. So we got that. We're good here. There's that. All right? So we are at the P&I. We are solid. There's our P&I payment. Now, this is our property taxes. Our property taxes were $2,110, and our property insurance or homeowner's insurance was $1,013, which equals to a total of $3,023. Okay, we have to divide that by 12. So that number divided by 12, the 3,023 divided by 12, puts us down to $251.92. That is our T&I. That is our taxes and insurance. We add that to the $1,620.93. Bada bing, bada boom, $1,872.85. $1,872.85. That's our PI and our TI. Remember, the number that we need for amortization is $1,620.93. We need that number because that number contains principal and interest. All right? So, here's a good question. If Jane purchased a home for $450,000, again 20% down, let's say 80% she's going to get a loan. She's 80% of the purchase price. All right? So that means she's putting 20% down. That means she is paying 80% of that loan. Annual taxes $5,400, insurance payment $1,800. we have our loan factor, 7.70. Always going to get the loan factor. Always get the loan factor in the national test. So what is the PITI payment? So let's look at that. I want you guys to think about it. Okay? And so these are what you guys need to do. All right? I want you to try to figure out the loan amount, amortization or with the loan factor, monthly taxes and insurance, and what is the PITI payment. Pause the video to see if you can answer this correctly. Okay? Pause the video to see if you can answer this correctly. All right. So let's look at it. 450,000, loan amount's 360. 450,000 times 80%, $360,000 loan amount. Amortization or loan factor is $2,772. That's the P&I. Okay? So that's 360,000 divided by 1,000, 360 units of the 1,000. 360 times 7.7, which is the loan factor, and that's how we end up with the $2,772 of monthly payment for principal and interest. Again, we do the same thing. $600, the T&I, that's $5,400 plus $7,200. We end up with the monthly payment of $3,372. That's our monthly P&I. Okay? So if we're looking at that, now let's think about this and let's go back. All right, let's go back real quick. I'm gonna take you back here. So you guys watching? So let's look at all the slides here. Let's look at all we've done, and let's start here. All right, with the P&I factor. All right, so we got that over here. Let's go back to our beginning. Remember that Bob was the loan right here, $200,000. The interest was $10,000 a year. Okay, so that's the interest, $10,000 a year. So when we're trying to figure out what the monthly interest is, so if I knew that the interest was $10,000 a year, then I could take that and divide that by 12. Okay, so if we took and we used our handy dandy calculator, all right, and then we took 10,000 divided by 12, we would get $833.33. $833.33. So that would be how much interest would be per month. And so remember, if we went and we found the P&I payment right here, so we did all this and we came down and we got the $1,388.89. All right. So if we took $1,388.89 and we subtracted $833.33 from that, that means that if you look at it, we're paying $555.56 in principal, okay, and $833.33 for interest, okay? So if I took that loan and I knew that loan was $200,000, okay, so it's $200,000, and I subtract that principal, all right, then our next payment would be based off of what that new loan amount would be. All right, so if it's 800, and so let's go back and look at it. We had 1388.89 minus 1388.89 minus 833.33. That was 55556, right? So if I took 200,000 minus 555.56, my new loan amount is 199,444.44. See, and so I can continue doing that. I can continue breaking it down just like that. All right, let's go back to our handy dandy see all slides, and we'll come back down here. All right, and then we'll come here. So if we got all these right here, I'm going to move me out of the way real quick. Boop. And you look at this, we could figure out exactly how much, there's the loan amount, correct? At $360,000 loan amount. All right? And we know that we have the principal and interest of 2,772. So we have that, so we're able to look at it and see what our what our payments are truly going to be if I know that with the loan factor of 7.7. So let's go. So come back here. All right. So remember, if you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and like. Tap the notification bell. Just a reminder that I hope these videos are going to be helpful to you. I hope that you can use them in your studies and in what you're doing. But again, it would help me if you hit subscribe and like, so I can keep making them. And I hope that your journey is good, and I hope you do really, really well on your pre-licensing test. Okay, so good luck to you. Good luck on your journey, and good luck on your new journey into the world of real estate. I really appreciate you coming and joining in.